demonstrating how to make candles. I think this is a really fun activity to do. I personally love doing crafts and also baking and doing a lot of fun things. So I decided to show you guys how to make candles because they're useful for in case of an emergency. You could make them and then save them for later, or just to have them decorated in your house. I will be demonstrating what the supplies that you need, where you could find them and stuff, and how to make them. What you will need is wax, but first you have to decide what kind of candles you are going to be making. I decided to make the cream kind, and so it was easy for me to find the wax because it's already there. But if you want to make other kind of candles, then you'll see right there that they sell them by pounds, or they sell them by the kind of candles that you are going to be making. Also, you are going to need the dye to make them into any kind of color. But you don't need to buy the dye. You could actually use crayons. Just cut the tip of the crayon, and you could use those. You could also buy the scent if you want your candles to smell pretty and stuff. You could buy the scent, or you could make your own scent. They also sell the supplies right there that you could use to mix up the scents and make them. Also, you have to decide if you're going to be making the big kind of candles or small ones, or just like the big, kind of fat ones in jars, and so that you can know what kind of wicks that you need to buy so that you could put in them. And then you also will need to buy the jars or glass or crystals to make the candles. I was recommended to save money, to make them into soda cans and stuff, but unfortunately those do not work out well. They come out like this, and you can't really take them out at the end, so I don't recommend this. And then you also need a pouring container. I would recommend for you to buy this because you don't want to mess up your own cooking pots, because once you let the wax that it's melted, it cools off really quick, and it stays stuck in there, so it's really hard to take it off. Also, I forgot to bring newspaper so that you can spread it down while you're making them, because it's wax, so it's really hard to take off. You can't really take it off. It took me a while to take it off the table, and my mom got mad because it was there. It was a mess, kind of, what I did. Okay, and now I'm going to be demonstrating how you are going to make it. First of all, you need the wax. As you can see, it's rough like this because I didn't know that you had to put it on top for a while so that it could melt a little bit, and it could become soft so that it'll be easier to break off. And I was doing it with the knife. So the first thing you need to do is you put it on top. You let it melt for a little bit, for 30 seconds, because if not, it's going to be too hard to cut it off. And then once you cut it off in pieces, I forgot that you have to put it in the stove for between medium high or so that it'll be faster to melt. And then once you have your container in the stove, you put in the wax right there, and while it's melting, prepare what kind of color you want your candles to be. So you get either the dye if you have it, or the kind of crayon, the color that you want, so that you can put it in, and you prepare your scent. I didn't really use the dye for this one because it's cream candles, so it didn't really get it. So if you want to make cream candles, I will recommend you to use the crayons. So once it's melting, you stick it in there, and it'll melt, and it'll come into the color that you want. Once you see that it's kind of melting, you are going to put in the scent that you want. At first, you're going to hear a crackling sound. I didn't know that was supposed to happen. And it's really, really loud once you put it in there. It's it's sizzling or something, I don't know, but it's really loud, the crackling sound, but that's okay. And you put in a couple of drops, 5 to 8, so that it could smell. If not, then in this one I only put like 2 drops. It doesn't smell anything. On these ones, even though they didn't come out right, I put in more, like 5 to 8, and they do smell. And after that, once it's melting in here, you'll see that it's going into the color that you want. And once it's melted, you get the molds that you're going to be using, and then you pour it in there. It's kind of hot, so do it carefully. And then put your molds in a place where you're going to have them cool off, because it is pretty hot, and once you get them, you could like burn yourself. And once you put it in your mold that you are going to be using, then you let it cool off for about 10 to 15 minutes so that you can know when to put the wicks inside. Once you see that it's kind of starting to harden, then you are able to put the wicks. These ones already have the tip right here, so it's better to use this one. So once you know that it's hardened, you could put in the wick. It breaks a little the wax. It breaks it in so that it could go in all the way to the bottom. And you put in a little bit of wax that you have left in your container so that it could let it stand. If not, your wick is just gonna go like, it's gonna be folding down. And then you let your mold with the wax inside, you let it cool off for another 10 to 15 minutes. These ones, they cool off right away, especially if you put them in the refrigerator. It only takes like 5 minutes to cool off. And like I said, if you use any kind of other molds like metal or something, that takes longer. That takes like about half an hour. And if you put it in the refrigerator, they'll cool off for like 15 minutes or so. And then once they're cool off, you'll see that they're hardened and they'll come out like this. Well, I accidentally moved this one to see it was cooled off, and it wasn't, so it almost fell off. But at the end, you'll have it that it's good and the candle's good. It'll be the color that you want, the scent that you want, and yeah, that's how you make the candle.